Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the show. It is Heading Back to the Window with Scott and Scott. I am your host, Scott Steehn, lead handicapper at winnersandwhiners.com.
And I'm your co-host, Scott Reichel, senior handicapper over winnersandwhiners.com.
And together we do this every day, every single day, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central. So we do our best to help you head back to the window. Of course, don't forget to like and subscribe and check out our pal Chris King, Jim Williams over there doing Just Parlays. They do their thing 1:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 Central. Every day on the Winners and Whiners Sports Betting Network. Scott, happy Groundhog Day. Feel like we've done this before?
Not quite. And put your little hand in. No, that does not seem like we've done this before. You?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you do a show every day at the same time, man, it does. It seems like
I'm assuming you knew where I was going with the song reference.
Yeah,
on that.
it's very nice.
Okay.
It's good. It's good to be here. JC Stone says, "Greetings, fellow delinquents." Yeah, no kidding. Nice to be here. James S. Some of them have been here for a while. Everybody's kind of stopping by early. Scott, I should just start putting this stream up at like 8 a.m. and let everybody just rock and roll.
We'll just come back and see how many comments we got.
It's really frustrating because we can read the comments, but until we go live, we can't enter. We can't answer anything. We can't post. So anyway, it's nice to be here. David the Italian's here. James S is here. David Good checking in from the beautiful weather. I'm sure. I'm just going to go on a limb and say it's nice in Tucson today. Brandon Kubas is here as well. So yeah, it's a full show. How'd your day go yesterday, buddy?
It wasn't ideal. I had a decent amount on the Heat and Raptors under, which did not work out. Both teams shot too well from the floor. But I had some player props. I had one bad beat for a player prop, which was kind of annoying. But I ended up winning at the end with something in live play on the Suns and Nets game. So I had a losing day, but at least I ended it on a high note.
Okay.
You?
All right, that works all right. Yeah, we went 1 and 2 on ours. Of course, we did better on the farm. So a 500 day overall. The Milwaukee Bucks were able to rally, and it was that was going to be a frustrating loss. I was going to kick myself for not taking the first half as they.
That Giannis guy's pretty good.
Yeah, they went out and played with their food in the third quarter, and then they were able to put it down. For the first time this season in conference play, Bowling Green did not go over the total. So thanks a lot there, boys. As we had Bowling Green, Eastern Michigan over 157.5, and the Falcons just never really could get rocking and rolling. And then Big Ten, Scott, laid points on the road. How'd that fucking work out for me?
Your team won. They didn't cover.
Good teams win. Great teams cover. And Michigan State, I'm not sure they're either one, but they stuck it in the old caboose last night as they win by 2, and they do not cover the 3.5. So nice to be here. Give some shout outs to everybody. JC Stone's here, of course. Bryce Multane, Zach Vaughn checking in from the Facebook. Henry Martinez reminding everybody to pick up your thumb and hit that like button. Thank you, Henry. Appreciate it as always. Brad Crawford here. What's it doing in KC? We got 4 to 5 inches in St. Louis. Yeah, see, dude, we're missing the second wave. We got about 4 to 5 here, but all that nighttime shit, we're gonna get a little sporadic, like maybe another inch or so, and then we're done. It's coming right up 44, just like it always does, Brad. Sorry, buddy. Sorry. And that's the same shit that's coming to you, Reichel. You're gonna get that in a couple of days. So enjoy.
I'll be indoors.
It'll be 72 and clear where you are once again.
Pretty much.
So, all right, guys. Well, of course, we told you to like and subscribe, and of course, if you don't, there's always consequences. We're going to be asked by Dolphins management to start tanking, Scott. So we need to get those likes and subscribes. We don't want to tank, buddy.
Do we want to have this full conversation about the Flores situation?
I think we have to talk about it, don't we?
I think we do. I don't know if you want to wait till after the first couple segments, but it's definitely a fascinating storyline. I think my favorite part of it is the fact that on the day of Brady's official retirement, somehow Belichick managed to become a whistleblower. I find that fascinating.
An inadvertent whistleblower, for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's a couple of things to unpack there. First of all, there's Scott, are we just automatically assuming everything that happens that's bad to a person of color is racism?
I feel like that's the counter argument where you can't exactly say that this is the case league wide because this happened with one team. But the truth is, let's just say Dable had a home run interview.
Right. Well, but
And
wasn't it wasn't it before his interview? I thought he got texted.
Flores' interview, I thought.
Huh?
I thought Dable interviewed Flores was going to interview.
Oh, okay. I thought both of them. I didn't think either one had been interviewed. But either way, I mean, it's a bad look. But I mean, it's not the first time in history that someone has got a job before someone else is interviewed. And I don't know. I don't doubt.
I think it's more because of the Rooney Rule. So the point is that you're technically not allowed to hire somebody before you actually bring in a minority candidate. So I think that was the bigger reason why there was a huge issue with it. I would rather have Dable as a coach than Flores, because I think Dable could be a brilliant offensive mind who could maybe make Daniel Jones look competent for once, which is a very tough task.
Yeah, that's a whole different argument about whether Dable should have gotten the job. It's just and then of course the other part of the Flores to unpack is the management told him to give him $100,000 for every game he lost.
I'd be pissed too if I ended up with 2 instead of Joe Burrow because my coach won games.
Yeah, that was your tweet there. We're having a great conversation in the comment section, by the way, about Mexican food.
I do love some good Mexican food.
Do you guys have any good Mexican joints up in Long Island?
Not really. It's something very fancy called Chipotle. No, we really don't have much around. I'm sure you got a couple of places in New York. I can't say anything local by me.
Right.
I have a big weakness for huevos rancheros.
Yep, big fan. You like chili?
So I'll eat that all the time.
You a fan of the chili Achilles? Chili Achilles?
Yeah, you get some margarita on the side. It's a good time.
Yeah, you know what you look for in Mexican food, Scott? You want to find a town that has some kind of processing plant. Chicken, beef, stockyards, a lot of places. And again, please, guys, I know what it's not a racist statement, but they tend to have lower skilled workers at those plants. They tend to be a lot from south of the borders, not just Mexicans, Guatemala, and El Salvador, or whatever. But they bring their families in, they open up restaurants, and those are the best fucking restaurants right there. Absolutely. So we have a lot of them around here. We have surprisingly a ton of great Mexican places because
it's authentic.
It's authentic. That's what I like. If you like Tex-Mex, I ain't hating on you. If you like the sour cream, you like the cheese, you like the lettuce, that's fantastic. That's a whole different thing. And there's times that I'm ready to dig into a deep fried chimichanga, but there's a lot of times when I'm looking for just really more authentic and stripped down stuff. So
David Good knows what's up though. Telling me the best place to get some Mexican food in Long Island's Taco Bell. Taco Bell is my favorite, I believe, original Mexican drink. It's called Baja Blast from Mountain Dew.
You see, Baja Blast, they're doing their thing in a can now. The alcohol, the seltzer.
It's about time. I mean, I don't like seltzer, but if it was not seltzer and they turned it into a twisted tea, if it was something like that, I would down the hell out of that. But I'm not a seltzer guy. So I feel like if you're going to actually make it Baja Blast flavored, can you at least keep the actual content of Baja Blast instead of turning into a water?
Mm-hmm.
Is that fair?
Yeah, I agree. Some people roasting me for saying no racist. I mean, dude, it's just the way it is. I mean, 20 years ago when I was on the stage, I could have said something like that, and it would have been taken in exactly in the way that it was meant, which was a completely non-racist. But we've become ultra sensitive now. So anyway, hey Scott, let's talk about some games yesterday. Let's talk about.
I actually just wanted to go back for a second to the Flores story because I think we would agree that he has a case. He's never going to coach again. I feel like he basically became a martyr for the cause.
Yep.
And I'm hoping it works out in his favor.
Yep.
I think that the one thing that's worth mentioning is the fact that right now you do only have one black head coach in the NFL, and you have one Hispanic coach with Ron Rivera, right? That's it.
Man, is that right? Is it?
I believe so. So the point is that you definitely have a lot of white people who are the head coaches of teams. They could be the most qualified people for the job. They might not. But I do think when you're looking at a ratio like that, when a decent amount of the players in the league are African-American, or even there are some Hispanic players in the league, you need a little bit more diversity when it comes to who's actually in charge on the sidelines. So I do acknowledge that point. Am I going to say it's all race-related? No. But based on the actual ratio and the lack of opportunities that some black offensive or defensive coordinators have gotten when it comes to getting the boost to head coach, you would at least have to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
I can't sweep that under the rug. I'm not saying that's the only cause is racism, but you do start to wonder if there might be some underlying type of vibes that you're getting.
Yeah, here's my thing. And by the way, Ninja and James, thanks for the backup, but I just want to stop seeing retreads. I don't care if they hire black guys. I don't care if they hire white guys. I want to see young, analytical driven coaches start taking some of these roles.
I'm going to ask, do you think Bieniemy should be a head coach?
I think
you witnessed his success and whatever's come in between.
They're super closed mouth about what kind of role he actually has when it comes to scheming for the day, calling the plays. I don't know whose scripted plays those are. I don't know. They don't. They're very, very close to the vest about Bieniemy's role. I think, based on what I've seen with other hires and the resumes involved, he deserves a shot. He certainly has as thick a resume as many or more than most of the guys that have been hired to be head coaches. He deserves a shot to find out what we've got. Maybe he sucks and he's awful. Is he going to be any worse than Urban Meyer? Come on. Obviously I would say that regardless of the color. He's a guy that's done well for my hometown team, and black, white, Latino, green, I don't give a fuck. If he has a good resume, give him a shot.
I mean, yeah, that's how I feel. But when you're talking about the African American candidates and who should be in line for a job, I've heard Bowles' name being mentioned. Good luck with that one. I witnessed that experience. That was okay.
I think he's done well enough with that Tampa Bay defense. He's going to get his redemption shot.
But I'm saying, if we're talking about a head coach, I've seen Bowles as a head coach.
I know.
I think you can do better. I've heard Leslie Frazier's name being mentioned. How'd that go with Minnesota? Not too well.
Right.
You had Flores, who I think should be a head coach. I think Flores did a good job.
He should still fucking be the head coach at Miami.
Correct. So I'm saying he did a good job with Miami.
You know what,
Flores,
though?
I do think should be in line.
Let me say something real quick, because it explains why it maybe gives a little more context about why Flores was fired. Because a lot of us scratched our heads when they announced that and went, really? I thought we were kind of going the right way.
He also told Tua straight up in practice we should have drafted Mac Jones. So that's not exactly something you want to tell the quarterback. So I do think that there was a growing divide between the starting quarterback and the head coach. That doesn't exactly help. But I do think if you want to go through some other potential candidates, Bieniemy, even you don't know how much of a role he actually has in the offense.
Nope.
I think Leftwich deserves a shot somewhere.
Yep. Agreed.
Of course, he had Brady, but he also made Jameis Winston look pretty good. I know he had a bunch of picks, but he looked good in terms of yards and touchdowns. So I'm not a Leslie Frazier guy because I saw that experiment in Minnesota. That failed miserably.
Yeah.
I'm not a Bowles guy because I saw that experiment not work out in New York. I think you have a couple of candidates, but it's not like there's a ton of African-American or Latino candidates that I could think of that are extremely, extremely worthy of being an automatic hire besides maybe Flores. I think that's the best option you got. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. Brad Crawford says GMs have been quoted saying Bieniemy is not head coach material, does not interview well, very passive is what they've said.
He also has the background with Colorado where people don't exactly like his personality.
Yeah, let's just say he's a little more behind the eight ball than most guys would be at this point. Is that fair?
I think so. I don't think Bieniemy's has to do with race. I think that he has to just deal with the fact that he might just interview terribly. People might just think Reed is the brains behind the operation.
And I think that's very true. Crash Landon, providing a little context here, says Flores is saying for years black coaches have had to be interviewed because of the Rooney Rule, and apparently those interviews haven't been taken seriously, so the process needs to be addressed.
See, I agree with that. I think that the idea of forcing owners to interview black candidates is flawed in itself, because the fact that you need to force them to do anything involving who should be the next football coach tells you they're not taking the idea of black head coaches seriously enough where they would want to consider them for the job unless they were forced to interview them. That's the issue that I feel like is the main point of why the Rooney Rule is counterproductive. But I do think that you can make the argument that while talking about the Rooney Rule itself and how few black coaches have gotten jobs, I feel like no matter what you do to try to update the Rooney Rule, it's always going to be counterproductive because you're never going to know if they genuinely got the interview because they deserved it or solely to satisfy this requirement.
Well, yeah, I don't know that it's counterproductive. I don't know that it's counterproductive so much as you just don't know if it's effective or not.
I'm saying the motivations, I think, are counterproductive because if you're interviewing people solely to meet a criteria, but you have no genuine desire to hire the people you bring in, then it's just lip service.
If you've ever been in a management position and done interviewing, you know that sometimes you're doing an interview as a favor, or there's somebody that's down there that's put in for it that is doing another job and they want to get a promotion, but you know in your heart that person's never getting the job. So I mean, it's not just at this level of professional sports. That happens everywhere. Anybody that ever interviews.
I think the one quick counterpoint I'll have to Crash, though, even though I agree, I do think that it seems like these sham interview accusations have some legitimacy to them, the actual claims themselves. I guess the counter argument I would have is, how do you prove that in a court of law?
Well,
you're going to prove that they had a fake interview for you? Like, I don't know how you prove that.
Well, if you left a text trail or a paper trail with emails or something like that, if somebody let the cat out of the bag and said something incriminating, then obviously...
I'm saying all we got is Belichick congratulating a person who was going to get the job. But when it comes to sham interviews, if they bring you through the door, how are you supposed to prove it was a sham interview? They brought you in.
Yeah.
That's all hearsay, isn't it?
Yeah, agreed. And Brad Crawford says, I do not think it has anything to do with race for Bieniemy. I kind of tend to agree with that because I think there's a couple of situations where the teams involved would have really liked to hire an African-American head coach. And I'm kind of with Brad here. I think there's something flawed about Bieniemy in the interview process. I don't know if it, whatever, you always hear that he doesn't interview well. I don't know what that means. Talk about being too passive. Maybe he doesn't have great forward-looking visions for the teams. Maybe where, when you say, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Maybe fired onto my third job isn't the right answer. I don't know, but for whatever reason, I think he's got a situation where he's just got to overcome it. So, all right, bud, let's move on and talk about what happened yesterday. The good news and the bad news, the people that took it in the shorts and the people that took it to the bank. Scott, you know who you are. It's time once again for today's edition, and it's Hump Day, by the way. Hump Day, it's Groundhog Day, but it's time for the Wednesday edition of... You know what it is? If I can get there's my playlist. Thank you very much. Here we go. It's called The Cops, guys. All right, very good. Let's start it off as we do. In the NCAA, Louisville Cardinals plus 3.5 against University of North Carolina. Game was tied at 74 with 2 seconds left. You got to think you're good here. Somebody score a goddamn point. North Carolina had a game-winning layup. Oof. Blocked. Well, temporary game-winning layup because they end up winning in overtime. Louisville loses by 7. If you had 3.5 there, you were so close. You had that game handicapped correctly right up until the time you didn't. Call the cops, would you?
Not to mention the questionable calls in overtime, which resulted in a technical foul for Louisville that was 2 free throws. You had a lot of questionable whistles, so that also didn't help. But looking at the NBA, if you had the Magic plus 10.5 against the Bulls, it was a tie game with 3:36 left in the fourth quarter. The Magic, fun fact, did not score a point for the final 5 minutes of regulation.
That doesn't sound fun at all.
It was not. The Bulls closed the game on an 11-0 run, and the Magic lost by 11.
Hey now, you're an all-star. How about the Stars' money line going up against the Flames? They led 3-1 with less than 6 minutes left in the game. Good God. Somebody close the door. Flames scored 3 in the next 4 minutes. Holy shit. Stars end up losing 4-3. Oofta. Call the cops there, Scott. Hey, you see I'm sure you did. The Avalanche's home winning streak came to an end last night.
I did.
Thought that was
I actually watched the shootout.
I thought it was a very questionable call in overtime there. The tripping behind the net. Yes, but they had to defend instead of being able to go on the offensive for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I thought that was a huge call. I thought it was a bullshit call. Sorry.
Fair enough.
All right. So the opposite, of course, of the Caps. This is the place you want to be. This is where you drop your friends off at the police station, and then you go have a big fat steak dinner because you, my friend, were sitting in the rocking chair.
So, first one in hockey, if you had the Maple Leafs -1.5 against the Devils, you're playing against the Devils.
Diablos!
A lot of goals.
Diablos!
Going to score a lot of goals because the Maple Leafs will lead 4-0 after the first period, and they won 7-1.
Madre de Dios. If you had the Timberwolves -1 against the Nuggets, congratulations, because the Nuggets, the bus, it stopped. The Nuggets, they decided to stay on and just keep playing cards because the Timberwolves led by 18 points at halftime. And then they remembered they were the Timberwolves, so the Nuggets did do a little better in the second half. But the T-Wolves still ended up winning by 15 points. Congratulations, you had the Timberwolves -1. You were sitting in the rocking chair.
And the last one in college basketball, if you had Ole Miss plus the 12 against LSU, they never trailed. You got a double-digit underdog, and they never trailed in the game. They led by 13 at half, and they won by 4.
Yeah, I kind of missed that one. I was a little skeptical of this LSU team. Good defense, no offense. I thought 12 was a ton there. So, what did you say? What did you say the name of the team that won that game was?
Ole Miss?
No, Ole Miss.
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss. There's
Ole Miss.
no D.
I wasn't saying it with a D.
She's getting a D.
I was not. I know how to pronounce Ole Miss.
Were you saying the hard D?
I was not. I know how to pronounce it.
Okay. All right.
Mississippi won.
Do you know what Ole Miss is? Do you know what that comes from?
Yes. It's Mississippi, but older. Now, do you want to give the story?
It's just the lady of the house of the plantation. That was the Ole Miss.
And they kept that as the name. Okay.
Yeah, there's you don't want to start
something that might end up being changed.
Well, they're the rebels, so what you gonna do there, buddy?
Fair enough. Okay.
All right, so David Goods, all I care about the Chiefs kicking the Raiders' ass. Yeah, well, man, I don't know. All right, Bronco Devils. No, we started a good social discussion here. I'll never forgive Ben Davidson. That's no shit. I agree. I was at that game, by the way. And, of course, it was at the other end of my seat. So I'm like, what the fuck is that all about? But, yeah, Ben Davidson just tossing Lynn Dawson to the ground like a rag doll. Brad, see, I'm kind of in the same boat. So there's a lot of black players. I think if you would try to bend over backwards to hire a black candidate, I think that's probably what. I think that's true for a lot of teams. Especially we've turned ownership over. I think a lot of the old boy network from the 50s, 60s, that kind of shit. Yeah, I don't think you kind of remember the line there from Trading Places. I think there's a lot of guys that felt that way, but I think as we kind of maybe turned a corner, I don't know, man. First of all, I'm not qualified to speak on it because I've never had obviously I had to deal with that at all for any reason.
I feel like the corner was turned when Al Davis hired Art Shell. I feel like that was when you could kind of move past the initial, I'd say, I'm trying to think of the right way to put it, but I do think that was a new era of opportunity for black coaches once Art Shell was given a shot there with the Raiders. Would you agree with that?
I think it helped. Yeah, I think that it certainly made and the fact that he had some success there, I think, was very helpful. So again,
of course, that led the way to like Dennis Green and some other African American coaches who had a bunch of success. The issue is now you don't have many of them, and of course, people might default back to accusations of racism. It could be that, it could be something else. But the point is, if you don't know, then I'm not going to immediately pencil it in as racism.
I want 3 things from a coach. I want somebody that can relate to the players. Hopefully, maybe have played the game, certainly been around it at the highest level for a long time. I want somebody that's going to be innovative and embrace analytics and the changing nature of the game with the rules and the passing heavy and all that. And I want somebody that has good connections and can hire good assistants and coordinators. That's what I want.
And I guess the one thing you have to ask, whether it's a white candidate or an African-American candidate or even a Hispanic candidate, how many candidates that are available excel in all three areas.
Yeah, that's right.
Not many.
That's right. So yeah, again, race. Don't give a fuck. Don't give a fuck. Yeah. So, all right. Anybody asking about games? What do you got?
I saw somebody asking about tennis.
Okay, good.
Magellan's talking about.
Yeah, we're walking the line about turning it into a racial political discussion, which obviously not the focus of the show, especially with just 15 more minutes left. So yeah, let's talk some ball. By the way, Brad, I agree with you about Kroenke.
Batista, yeah, I'm not a Kroenke guy either, but Batista Agut is in straight sets. I know he's favored against Simone. It's in France, so you do have a home court advantage there for Simone, but they're kind of similar stylistically. They both just keep the ball in play a lot. They don't hit many winners, but Agut's definitely better. Simone has done well head-to-head, but Agut's in much better form. I think it'll be two very competitive sets, but I see Agut winning 6-4, 6-4, if I had to guess.
What's the price? Can
you
value anywhere?
Let me see. I'm assuming the value would be on straight sets, but let me just pull that up quickly. If anybody else has any games they wants to talk about, we can go through
Miami,
our own
Miami, Florida tonight.
Okay.
Let me get that one up.
They're favored against Notre Dame at home. I know Notre Dame has the bitter taste in our mouth about the 14-point first half against Duke. Am I exactly thrilled with laying this amount with Miami? No. So for me, I would look at probably Notre Dame. Actually, Batista Agut on the set spread -1.5, -425. Jesus. Okay. I didn't realize it was that much. I don't know where you're going to find value there. Okay. So I guess I'm passing on that one. But I'm looking at Notre Dame. I think Miami is a pretty good team. They're not great. The whole ACC kind of stinks, if I'm being honest with you. But
hard to get a read, man. There's a lot of those teams that are kind of clumped together. Your Wake Forest, North Carolina State, Syracuse. They all kind of just seem to be just kind of treading water and sinking slowly. Am I crazy?
It depends on where you shop Magellan, by the way, because DraftKings has straight sets for Batista Agut at -425. So once again, shop your lines if you're trying to bet something, because some of these books will try to kill you. DraftKings appears to be trying to kill you. So if you do like straight sets for Agut, you might want to look elsewhere.
Okay.
But that's actually wild, by the way. Batista Agut 1.5 set is -425. On the other end, Simone plus 1.5 sets is +170. That is highway robbery.
Oh, 250 juice? Fuck me.
That is highway robbery.
Yeah. Hey, let's
just shop around if you're trying to find stuff.
Somebody wanted to know real quick about the Citadel, if they're still an over team.
No, they are not.
Half of
abandoned ship.
Half of them are. They still play shitty defense, but they just don't. They don't shoot the three ball well, Scott. They're just shooting 33% from the line. They're like 8th out of 10 in their conference shooting the three, which is just really unusual. They still take a shit ton of them. They still roughly half their shots are from 3-point land, but they can't make them. But they certainly.
I think you're looking for team total overs for the opponents of the Citadel, because the offense has been underwhelming. Defensively, they're a mess. So I think you'd agree if you were going to take an over, you're just penciling in the opponent for 85-90.
Yeah, it's the total will be 83 for Furman, and I'm all about that. And yeah. that's a solid
at
play.
Home. They should score 90.
Yep, absolutely. Hey, and we'll talk about that Wyoming game real quick, Winslow Brothers. I just wanted to remind everybody about all of the great partnerships we've got going on. Of course, Caesars was our first. We'll never forget your first. They're doing the free match bet up to $1,500 when you throw in at least 50. So they want you to put a little skin in the game, and then whatever you bet the first time, they got your back there. Of course, you use the promo code Whiners. Caesar, the stock symbol CZR, so it's WHINERS CZR, Whiners, Caesar. Of course, we got the link there in the show box as well. And, of course, we got the thing going with BetMGM, a book that's a personal favorite of ours, Scott, when it comes to baseball season.
I've been slacking on it, to be honest. They were legal to New York, and I actually haven't used it.
No,
I've just been missing out.
Well, there you go, bud, because they've got a $1,000 deal. It's the match play up to $1,000. You got to put at least $10. Do the MGM app, download it from the App Store, the Apple, the Google Store, whatever, the Google Play, Apple Store. Or go to the online. They have a website as well. You get the deal. Must use the code Video Winners. Now, if you guys forget all this shit, which I know I would, it is all in the show description there. So all your codes and everything, as well as a quick link to the website. Of course, all these for BetMGM, you must be 21 or older. Arizona, New Jersey, New York, Indiana, Colorado, Tennessee, West Virginia, Iowa, Virginia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, D.C., and the aforementioned Wyoming. I hope you're paying attention. It's going to be a quiz at the end of the show, Scott.
In that order.
And, of course, one more time, we talked about it yesterday, the down there for all you coon asses in Louisiana. You know, that's what people in Louisiana refer to themselves as, Scott? Coon asses?
I did not know that.
There you go. File that away. The new mobile app there, that is for PointsBet. Or not PointsBet. It is for Bet Rivers. And it is $500. And you can do the same thing. Put in money. They'll match your first bet up to $500. Personally, Scott, do you like the match bet better than the roll, rather than the bonus where you have to do the playthroughs?
I will avoid any type of rollover at all costs.
Yep, there you go. So check those out as well. I'm the same way. I'm absolutely the same way. All right, Scott, we had a question about Wyoming tonight. Cowboys playing good basketball up there in the Mountain West. We talked about this conference a lot the last couple of days. Are they? Are people sleeping on the Cowboys? Are they peaking at the right time?
It was a good win against Colorado State.
Really
I know that Jim and I kind of had a bit of a disagreement on the side in that one. I guess he was technically right, even though he lost because the game went to overtime. So I guess I should know Wyoming was getting 1.5. So Colorado State was in a good spot to win it. They didn't. Wyoming's good. It's one of those spots where, historically speaking, the Mountain West is atrocious in the NCAA tournament.
Mm-hmm.
They are ridiculously bad.
Not good.
So I'm not picking any team to make a deep run in the tournament, but the Mountain West is sneaky. Even UNLV is not that bad. They're not great, but they have Bryce Hamilton who's good.
Yep.
But you look at that conference, should be a very fun conference tournament.
Yeah, agreed. J.C. Stone talking about the Fred Snowden coaching there at Arizona in the 70s. I remember that. They were some fun teams to watch. Yeah, that was a little before my time as far as betting goes, but I would have been pounding the over back in the days. Scott asking about Grizzlies and Nugs tonight. Grizz taking on this New York Knicks team that looks fucking lost. Any reason for me?
Beat the Kings.
Huh?
So if the Knicks are lost, then what are the Kings?
Oh, perennially awful.
Okay.
I mean, that's... Yeah, okay. Memphis laying 4. You going to step up here and take the Knicks, buddy?
It's the game after theory. Of course, Memphis lost on the road to Philly when I had money on the money line. I ended up winning my play of the day because I had them +4 as well. But it's the perfect bounce back spot, isn't it? I mean, you're expecting a decent performance from the Knicks because of the line, but that's where you go wrong. Why would you expect a decent performance from the Knicks? See, my takeaway from the Knicks' 20-point win against the Kings isn't that the Knicks are back on track. It's that Sacramento should fold the franchise. That was my takeaway. Like, I don't think it was a testament to how good the Knicks are.
No.
It just shows how bad Sacramento is. So Memphis is still one of the best teams in the league. I'm taking Memphis because they're better at what? Every position?
Yeah, that's exactly right. You can look at the matchup and you can go through those lineups and you literally can't pick, at least in the starting rotation, you can't pick one spot where the Knicks had the advantage.
Maybe center because Adams is questionable. So there is a chance that Adams does not play.
Well, okay.
But then they might just move Jackson to center. So I don't know what the Knicks are going to do. I mean, we're going to actually bring up a certain play in this game later in the show. But you go down the lineup and who on the Knicks do you actually like? Because Barrett's streaky. Randall's been a mess this year. And Knicks fans despise him because of the contract. Fournier's been awful. Kemba's been awful. Who do the Knicks have that people actually like?
Yep, agreed. Nuggets.
Oh, boy. After getting absolutely railroaded.
Run out of the building, buddy.
Yeah.
Absolutely run out of the building. Taking on this Utah team that we've seen struggle, but they've been struggling with some injuries there with Gobert and with Mitchell. Mitchell will not be making this one. Of course, Gobert is still out. Scott, this one could be a tempting spot for the Nuggets because there's a lot of injury news from Utah. Whiteside is out. Clarkson's questionable.
That's the even big. I mean, Whiteside is not very good, of course, but he's the backup center,
Right.
and you're facing off against the best center in the league.
Best offensive center.
Well,
The best the best stretch four.
Well, who would you say is the best center then? I just mean all around.
Joel Embiid.
Okay. I think Jokic is better. I think it's close, but I think Jokic is better.
Jokic
But
is a better scorer.
either way,
Yeah.
point is, you don't really know how Utah's going to stop the guy.
Right.
Because even Gobert had problems stopping Jokic, and Gobert's one of the best defensive players in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So, fun fact, or trivia question here, it's kind of going to be a throwback name. Do you know who the projected starter is at center for Utah tonight?
The projected starting
center for Utah tonight, projected, with no Gobert and no Whiteside.
With no Whiteside? Oh fuck! Let me think. Let me think here, bud. Hang on.
You're definitely not going to get it, but he was very good in college a couple years ago.
Oh fuck! I forgot they had him. I'm gonna admit I cheated. I looked at the roster. You want to tell everybody who it is? The stud from KU.
Yeah, Kansas legend Azubuike.
That's right.
Who is, of course, a big body. He was very dominant in college. Can't shoot free throws to save his life. I might take some props on him. If you give me a rebound number on Azubuike, I might be tempted by that.
He has played, it looks like 55 minutes total this year, buddy.
Yeah, but you know that you're just going to stand there in the paint and grab rebounds. But the point is, I'm going to go with Denver, because after a no-show like that, I think they'll bounce back. And Utah, we've seen them without Gobert and Mitchell. What are they, 2-9 in their last 11? And now Joe Ingles tore his ACL. He's out for the year.
Yep.
This team's falling apart.
Bronco Devil said he's having trouble getting being able to make a play on this Denver game. I'm gonna check that. Scott, Purdue number keeps going up. You want to talk about this Purdue team tonight on the road?
Oh, well, the point is Minnesota is a team that is not very good. They're not awful per se, but it's classic Minnesota fashion. Whether Pitino's the coach or not, you look really good out of conference. You start off 7-0, 8-0, and then once conference play starts, you hit a wall. That's kind of the story of Minnesota basketball for the last couple of decades. Do I want to lay this many points with Purdue on the road?
That's the question.
Not really.
Do you trust them on the road?
I do not, because it's a Big Ten team, first of all, and we know how that's gone so far for home teams. They've been really good at home.
Right.
But Purdue is a team that, even though has all the talent in the world, I do think they're going to play with their food a little bit. They're 3-2 on the road straight up, 2-3 ATS. I think they'll win the game, but do I want to lay 11? Like, I feel like it's the ultimate cardinal sin of college basketball this season is to lay points with favorites on the road in Big Ten play. So I'm not going to do it.
Yep.
It's either Minnesota or pass.
Fight the urge. B-Sider Man says triple revenge game for Denver tonight. They're 0-3 on the season. Yeah, against a team that
is missing a bunch of guys.
Yep.
Plus, by the way, speaking of Big Ten underdogs, Nebraska, never in doubt. They almost won the game outright yesterday.
Yep. Bronco Devil, you're right. I don't have a lot. I cannot make an official bet on. I've got. You got anywhere you can bet on Denver tonight?
Let me see. I was looking at a grid.
Off the board everywhere. I wonder everybody in Denver is questionable now. See, that's the thing. What are we getting?
I don't see anything either.
Well, obviously keep up to date on the injury news there, because there's something coming that it's been pulled. So somebody knows something about an injury. So keep an eye on that for sure.
Well, for the record, if the guys can play, I think they should.
You got Jokic questionable all of a sudden. There's your problem.
I was going to say, the point is that I'm sure they might be resting some guys for a back-to-back, but you got to remember, it's a division game, and Denver, with the amount of injuries Utah has, Denver's only 1.5 back.
Yeah.
So you can make an argument that Jokic might get rested. If you want to win the division, head-to-head's extremely important.
Yeah, especially when you
kind of got to go full steam ahead, don't you?
When you're in a hole like that. Well, it would seem to me that would be the case, Scott. But I'm obviously.
That's what I would do. I mean,
I don't. Let me make sure.
How many more important games during the season do you have than a game against Utah, where Gobert and Mitchell are out?
Yeah,
because you're 1.5 back in the division. These games really matter.
And you're already in an 0-3 hole against them. So
Yeah.
I don't know where you guys got that. I've got Dom Best up, and I do not have injury news or rest news for Jokic at all. So
I see Jokic being questionable with a toe injury.
Where do you have that? What do you use?
I'm looking at RotoWire.
Oh,
It said
okay.
he played through right toe soreness in Tuesday's loss. Oh, he only had 21 points, 16 rebounds, and 8 assists in 30 minutes. I think he could play if he wants to.
By the way, RotoWire is the absolute best. That's the best that I found. I didn't, and I made the cardinal mistake. I just looked at best and didn't check Roto. So yeah, good call. What else are we asking? Any other questions about that out there, Scott? What have I missed in the comment section, jacking around here?
I haven't really seen much. It's mostly people talking about the Villanova game against Marquette. Villanova's currently favored by 4.5. Marquette's been good. It's another one of those spots where the line looks crappy and you're tempted to take Marquette money line, but I'm not going to do it because Villanova is a team that I doubted earlier this season because of the athleticism or the lack thereof, but they're doing Villanova things in Big East play, which means good luck getting in front of them. I'm not doing it. Villanova's been playing a really good ball lately. Marquette, I do think, has been better than I thought they were going to be at 15-7. But Villanova just seems like they're on a different level right now compared to other teams in the conference. It's Villanova or pass for me.
Hey, you know what else is going on tonight? Because somebody's asking about, and I'm going to kind of tie this in. Somebody's asking about whether the USA is going to piss away another opportunity to go to the World Cup. Scott, you know where
they lost one game to Canada?
You know where they're playing tonight?
No idea.
Can I interest you in a February 2nd game in St. Paul, Minnesota?
Okay.
You're like, well, maybe it won't be bad. It should be all right? Scott, it's going to be game time. You talk about the Ice Bowl. You talk about the game there between Seattle and the Packers. How about -1 fucking degree at game time? -1, wind chill, -10.
You know what that means, right? Just take the under and expect a 1-0 game.
I guess, sure. God,
the ball's going to be a rock, isn't it?
How do you do that? Your feet, are you going to really wear shorts? I have to tune in. I have so many questions about, number one, the mental acuity of anyone who would schedule a game in February in fucking Minnesota. Sounds like somebody that's never been to the States. James Mounds, by the way, wants to know George Mason and SLU. I was torn about that game, buddy. I'm leaning Mason there. This St. Louis team has been inconsistent. You?
I kind of have to agree. I know Mason's been good at home. I just think St. Louis is the better team.
Yeah, they are. That's the frustrating part.
Yeah.
But Mason's having a decent season.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I want to go back to the soccer game, by the way.
Okay.
Since it's going to be freezing out there.
Yeah.
My question for you is, do you think that the players on Honduras have ever seen snow before?
I think a lot of them haven't. I'm sure they've done international travel, and depending on their level of how many veterans you have on the team and their level of experience. But I would
saying, if we're talking about how bad the weather is, that actually might be a decent home field advantage because I don't know if Honduras has really played, besides maybe against Canada.
Well, and even if
how often do you think they played in degrees sub 20?
That's what I was going to say. Maybe you've even seen snow, you've gone skiing or something, but wherever you were, it wasn't fucking below zero. Holy shit, man. It's huge advantage for the USA. Magellan, it's got to be. It's got to be, man.
Now, I know that Zach brought up if the U.S. is going to choke away the chance to go to the World Cup. Why? Because they lost to Canada? Canada's actually good at soccer. As crazy as that sounds, they are actually good. Like, Canada's in first place. They're 4 points clear. So I'm not going to overreact to a loss to the number 1 seed right now in the CONCACAF. Other than that, they're tied for second with Mexico. I think they'll go to the World Cup. They should beat the teams that are beneath them. It's possible that Canada's just really good.
Yeah, I think we just need to take care of business against the teams that we're supposed to take care of business, and that's what screwed us last time. So
yeah, pretty much. I mean, you lost when you had a chance to clinch against Trinidad and Tobago.
Right.
Like, you can't do that. But
Can't do
losing
it.
to Canada, I'm not going to overreact. I think Canada's pretty good.
It just doesn't. It gives you less margin for error. That's the problem there. St. Louis, George Mason, Scott. Where are you at on that? Where do you like? You like
I'm going with I'm going with
Mason?
I'm going to go with Mason.
Okay.
I'll go with the home team there.
We talked to Missouri State, Southern Illinois. I like a sneaky over there. It's two under teams, but I think the Bears might have a little something for them. This is a pretty good Southern Illinois defense, by the way. They do put up.
They've had over money.
They do put up some money, and there has been over money coming in. Yep, you're right, because that was 129.5. I think that just might be a tick too low. We'll see, because the Bears defense is good, not great. So
I think if you wanted to look for a play on the soccer match, by the way, I would probably look for U.S. clean sheet. I said in the game against, I'm trying to remember who they played against. It was U.S. against. It wasn't the one against Canada. It was the one before that. They played against El Salvador.
they played El Salvador last time, right?
Yeah, I said that I thought they'd win 1-0, 2-0, something like that. I see a similar story here. I think that you'll see Honduras really struggle to do anything offensively in the cold weather. The U.S. offensively has not been great lately. I see a 1-0, 2-0 type of final. I do not expect Honduras to score.
I just don't know how you go out and play 45 minutes with bare body parts and not get frostbite. I don't think that's humanly possible.
Well, probably because they're doing it for 90.
Well, but you get to get warm at halftime. That's what I'm saying.
In between, yeah.
That's
I
what
see
I'm
a
saying.
1-0 or a 2-0 final.
Yeah, it's going to be brutal. I'm definitely going to be tuning into that. All right, so let's get to it, Scott. Let's take a look and see what we've got cooked up for today. You and I have put our heads together, and we discarded a lot of things, but there was a player prop that you found that you really like. So let's talk about that a little bit as we get ready to strap on our overalls, put on that straw hat, climb aboard your John Deere, and get your keychain out, the one with the lucky rabbit's foot. Well, fucking, we might need it tonight. But fire that bad boy up, because it's time for Bet the Farm. All right, Scott, I know we had a play yesterday. How did that end up going?
We ended up having Davidson plus the points. And you know what? You can keep those damn points because they won the game out.
Save them for next time. Cue the banjos. Yeehaw! All right, there you go, Scott. Well, we've kind of promoted a little bit and talked about it. What do we got cooked up for our Bet the Farm?
So I mentioned it was going to be in the NBA in a matchup between the Grizzlies and the Knicks. And I'm looking at Knicks point guard Kemba Walker. And I like his point total under 10.5. He has been atrocious recently and pretty much all season long. He scored less than 9 points in each of his last 5 games. He's played less than 22 minutes in 4 of the last 5 games. So the Knicks clearly don't enjoy using him on the actual roster. He's attempted less than 9 shots in each of the last 5 games. And a fun fact, the Knicks actually scored 116 points last game against Sacramento. Kemba Walker attempted 2 shots and scored 0 points. The point is, the Knicks really don't enjoy using him because Thibodeau acknowledges his limitations. Now you're against John Morant. I doubt you want Kemba guarding him. So I expect Kemba to start, play a couple of minutes, probably get benched for the entire final 3 quarters or maybe to start the second half. But if you're barely playing above 17 minutes over the last week and change, and you haven't scored more than 9 in each of the last 5, 10.5 points.
It's a lot.
I got to take the under.
Not good, Bob. Not good at all. I think that's a solid play. I think it's a really sneaky play. So get yourself down on Kemba Walker. They're under 10.5 points. Big fan of that play. All right, guys, that's going to do it. We're more than halfway through the show. I hope everybody has a great Groundhog's Day. I know a lot of the country going to be digging out, so fucking don't overexert yourself. Go buy a snowblower, for God's sakes. It's the best investment.
Was that a pun?
What's that?
Was that a pun?
No, not intentional. What'd I say?
You said digging it out, but we're talking about the groundhog?
Oh, yeah, no, sorry. No, absolutely not. If you still shovel snow, and you should go get a snowblower. That's what I'm saying. Best investment you'll ever make. So, anyway, you guys have a great day. Good luck on all your plays. Thanks for listening. Again, don't forget to check out all the offerings here on the WWBSN. And, yeah, we'll do this again tomorrow. That's how much fun I had. I'll be back to you. Scott, come back tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow.
Excellent. All right. We'll do it again tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, as Scott and I will do our very best to help you in your journey to head back to the window. Take care, everybody. We'll see you then.